Cool. Hey guys, hopefully you can see me okay. Not my usual recording spot, but going to do what I can. What I want to show you today is how to make a template for a frame bag. So you're going to need some cardboard, potentially a pair of scissors, some tape, and a pencil or pen or something like that. So probably should have done this before I started filming because I'm awful at finding the end of the tape. There it is. So first thing you want to do is make sure that your piece of cardboard is big enough to fill the gap in your frame. In this case, I'm going to make a template for a full frame bag, but I'm actually going to only make a partial frame bag, which is probably going to end about here-ish, because I want the ability to hold a bottle here, but still use the front of the bag or front of the frame for bits and pieces. So the reason I got scissors is you might need to cut out a bit for your bottom bracket where it can get all a bit fiddly. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're covering basically as much of the frame triangle as possible, and then grab some tape, tape it to the frame. Oh, that's not in the right place. There we go. A bit more like it. So it doesn't need to be perfect, and you don't need to tape it in loads of places, but you do need to try and get it kind of close as possible to the frame itself. If you've got a bike stand, it's probably easier to put the bike in the stand and do it that way. I do have a bike stand, but I couldn't be bothered to get it out, so I'm doing it this way instead. So that is sufficiently taped to the frame. So now what we want to do is we want to just mark the inside of the triangle on the card. So you'll probably want to hold the card a bit close to the frame. What I've got is probably a 1.5 cm gap, so I'm just going to put my finger behind it. You don't need to be super accurate, but you do want to basically get the pencil mark as close to the actual size of the frame as possible. Obviously the pencil is a thickness, and that's going to mean that that line is in the wrong place, so you just want to get your head in line with it and try and get the line. So it's basically following the frame all the way around. Don't worry about being super duper accurate, but obviously you want it as accurate as possible. Now, this area down here where the chainring is, that's going to vary on bike to bike. If you've obviously got a road bike with a 50 or 52 or whatever size ring, you'll probably going to want to leave a cutout, so you might want to just draw around the chainring. In this case, obviously I've only got a tiny little chainring, so I can go all the way down into the bottom of the triangle and back up. So now what we're going to do, that's the outline done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to mark any places where there might be cable guides. In this case, the frame's got internal routing, but bottle bosses are still something that you want to try and avoid. And there's a cable guide here, so that's going to be for where you're going to need to put Velcro straps somewhere on this frame, and you're going to want to avoid all of these spots. So I haven't got a front mech, but I'm still going to mark the approximate location of all of this stuff. So I'm just trying to mark generally the center of these bottle bosses. There's also a guide there. There's one up here. There's nothing on the top tube. There's another one down here, but that's too far away that I'm not going to need to worry about it. So that's about it done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this off, take it over to my desk, and then I'll show you part 2 on how to make a template. Right, So what we are going to do now is we are going to mark seam allowances on the template itself, and then we are going to cut it out. If you're preparing a template for someone else, i.e. me or another bag maker, then you probably don't need to do this step. What it's worth doing is just sending them this, writing some notes on your frame, bike, your name, phone number, what have you. Just write that down there and then post this off. But if you are making a template for your own bike, then this is what I do. So I've got a scalpel, rulers, scissors, gaffer tape still. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark a centimetre on all of these lines outwards. So centimetre there, centimetre there. Now, if you've got curved tubes, this is significantly more difficult. I think my top tube might have a slight little bow in it, but I'm just going to ignore it. I've also gone a little bit too close to the edge here. I'm not sure if you can see that down here. There isn't a centimetre gap there, but I'm just going to make do. So bear with. Where can we get to? Here. Obviously, this isn't perfect, but as I said, I'm not actually making a full frame bag for my mountain bike. I'm going to make a partial frame bag so I can still carry a bottle. Excuse me. I'm just going to mark. Apologies if you can't see. I'm just going to mark a couple of spots on the top tube because, as I said, it does have a slight curve in it, so it's probably not best for me to just ignore it. I'll try and explain how I would do it normally. So, big ruler. Just going to join all these lines up. So that's that. Do the seat tube. Apologies if you can't see too well. I've got the camera mounted over the desk, so I can't actually see it. And then here, what I'm trying to do is I'm just going to try and join these up as best I can. It doesn't need to be perfect because fabric moves. So if you've got a curve like this, then I just try and kind of get it in the center-ish of the line that you've drawn. So I'll go from the end of this one because that one looks like it's pretty good, and then I'll aim for the center of this one. I mean, if you want, you can do it perfectly. You can mark a centimeter basically all the way along and draw a perfect replica, but because of the nature of the bag and it's made out of fabric, fabric moves, so it's pretty flexible stuff, so it doesn't need to be 100% spot on. So that's a rough guide there, and I'm just going to finish this line off here. Now, something that I like to do personally is I like to round off the corners. There's two reasons for that. One, it just makes life a lot easier when you're sewing. I don't like doing square edges or really tight corners. And personally, I think it looks better. So yes, you do sacrifice some of the space in the bag, but realistically, what are you carrying all the way up to this point here? It's probably not going to be too much. So again, just got my gaffer tape. All I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the top with the roll and the bottom with the roll, and then I'm just going to draw a nice semicircle there. So obviously you're going to lose a centimetre of that of your seam allowance, so all in all you've lost 5-6 centimetres and maybe 4 centimetres of depth. You've lost this area here. What are you really going to put in there realistically? So same thing over here. And then The same thing down here. As I said, I did make a mistake, but if I got lucky, which I'm going to say I did, it's not quite perfect, but it's not a million miles away. All I'm doing here is I'm just matching up the edge of the, lining up the edge of the cardboard with the edge of the tube, and I'm just going to use this basically as the edge of my bag. So what I'm going to do now is hopefully not mess this up while I'm filming it, because I don't really want to do it again. So scalpel, just cool. So I wouldn't throw that away, this off-cut piece here, because you could use it for another template. I've got a top tube bag template around here somewhere that'll fit in there, and whatever else that you might want to make. So always keep these. So I mean, normally I would say put a cutting mat down and all of that stuff, but this table's made of plastic and it's seen some time, so not too worried about it. Not too precious. That being said, I do have cutting mats just down here, so it's just me being lazy. Cool. I don't need to worry about this bit here because that's getting cut off. So let's just cut this seat tube area off. And now scissors, just gonna, these are not my fabric scissors, these are just some rubbish scissors that I've got. Try not to use your fabric scissors because we all know that paper and cardboard and stuff blunt scissors like there's no tomorrow, so I'm just obviously you don't have to use a scalpel, you can use scissors to do the straight lines. I just have one to hand and it's easier. Cool, so I'm just going to mark BB for Bottle Boss. This is where my cable guide was, so there's another one here, another one up here. And that is it. So with this, you can make frame bags, basically. What I will say is Velcro placement for everyone is going to be different. What I try and do is I try and do about 5-ish centimeters from this edge, so I'll probably do one there. You usually use 50mm Velcro if I can, so just put a little V in there. V for Velcro. The reason I do it about 5 centimeters away is because it gives you a nice gap. It's not too close to the end, so it's not an impossibility to sew. If you want, stick one in the middle, so that's 25 centimeters. So we go. All I did there was I measured from where this Velcro ends and where this Velcro ends, and then I just found the middle. Like I said, it's 25, so I just went 15. 15, that gives me 5 centimeters here. I know I said that I'm only going to make a partial frame bag. I'm just marking these on there so I can basically show you what I would do if I were you. This one, we've got the cable guide in the way, so what I would do is come back a little bit from it. That's there. And then I'd probably just do an inch Velcro here as opposed to a 2-inch or 25mm. So Velcro there. We've got a Bottle Boss here. So I might do the same thing down here as well. So we go here, and then 25. I could probably move it down a little bit. probably move it down this way a little bit, but again, I don't want to get too close to this curve because it does make sewing them a bit of a nightmare. On the down tube, we've got loads more space, so I'm just kind of eyeballing. Basically, I've just gone 6 centimeters from the curve there, just because the curve comes quite far around. So there, we've got a cable guide there, so we're going to try and avoid that. So I'm probably going to bring it a bit further down. There, and then what have we got here? Just under 30. So we've got cable guide, bolt boss. Right, so I might just put a 25 here. So, excuse me. And those are the rough spots where I'm going to put my Velcro. You can put one here, right in the head tube. That tends to be a bit of a nightmare, so I might try something different with this bag, which I will show you when I make it in the next video. But yeah, generally that's that's what I'm going with. That's the inside of my frame. This is giving me seam allowances. In this case, I'm allowing a centimetre. Some people allow more, some people allow less. I find a centimetre works pretty well for me because my edging foot sews at about 8 millimeters. So I don't lose all of that seam allowance, but I do lose most of it. If you're not edging it and you're using my guide from me for the first video, which was to use the edge of the foot as your guide, that'll be about 5 mil, so you'd only need 5 mil seam allowances as opposed to 10 mil. But yeah, generally speaking, that's a frame bag template done. So if you like the video, like, subscribe, comment, all of that nonsense. Share on social media. Obviously, we're going through weird times at the moment, so I am trying to get more footage out and just try and make a few useful videos. If there's anything you want to see, just let me know. I've been putting polls and bits and pieces up on Instagram occasionally. But yeah, thanks for watching, and the next video will be how to make a frame bag.